Greetings, welcome back to another supporter stream over here. We still gotta go and put out that notice and say, hey, is there a better time for this? I know this is the best time for you, but I think a lot of other people have gotten busy, and so I don't know, maybe finding another time would be good. We'll figure it out. But anyway, we're gonna be talking mostly about tips and tricks on backup strategies after we chat about a bunch of other weird and random things. And so let me go ahead and unmute the guests. And I think I have Dan, and I think Mark is here as well.
Yep.
You there, Mark?
Yep.
All right. How's it going?
Right. Pretty good.
All right. Very nice indeed. Very nice indeed. Let's say hello to the people in the comments. Actually, first let's say hello to the people in the live in the chat. So how's it going? That's over you, Dan. How's it going?
I'm here, ain't I?
There you go. Good enough.
I guess I made it.
Yeah, I was getting word there for a minute. I was like, man, you jumped out like 2 minutes before we go time. And then Mark jumped on. Mark, how's it going your way? He's muted. Let's see if he unmutes himself.
Temporarily. Jeopardy. I was fiddling with my tabs here, getting them placed right.
Oh yeah, no problem.
I'm doing really good. Business is pretty good.
Nice.
Picked up a client recently. Fixed him up. He had an issue with the ISP throttling his video, and I was able to resolve it, which made me feel good because it's kind of an ambiguous deal. But yeah, I was able to resolve it. My hand hurts like crazy because I got carpal tunnel.
Oh,
apparently I've developed carpal tunnel.
It takes B vitamins.
Do what now?
B vitamins
makes it hard to do my job.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, I do have an update on ISP config. Somebody actually did point me into the way that I can put subdomains within the same FTP username, and so that's good. And there's still a few issues with the mail server, still wants to use the default. So if people are actually utilizing your main server's mail server access codes, then all the mail works just fine. If they want to use the one connected to their domain, out of the box at least, it still does throw an SSL error. But I'm looking for a way to resolve that one as well. But so far, I've actually moved a few actual clients over onto ISP config, and it's actually working great. I moved over a Joomla site, and I moved over a raw HTML site, and a couple things with email testing. So
great.
But yeah, so ISP config is actually pretty good. Although I am still going to buy a cPanel license and build up a server on cPanel because I do have some clients that need that user friendliness. So that's fun. And then I staged everything on my laptop. I staged it to be able to wipe it out. We're going to do some Whonix videos soon. I'm actually going to install Whonix on the hard drive on my laptop, and then I'm going to partition it out and throw some Linux Mint on there as well. I'm still working on one thing. I want to get my old Windows 98 VM off of there, and I'm having problems getting it to run. So I need to get that fixed before I wipe the computer, but just for the novelty factor. But yeah, I got a Windows 98 on my VM. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But
just for nostalgia.
Yeah, that's what we're doing. So of course, backups and such has been on my mind lately. That and a friend of mine's like, they needed to upgrade to the Mac to the latest version to run a software program, and yep, it didn't go. And it's been a 3 or 4 or 5 day process to try and get data back. That kind of is like, let's talk about backup tips and tricks. And actually some guys over there on Patreon, thank you for, let's see, I'll find my email here. I think this might be the gentleman that said don't use his name. I can't remember for sure, but somebody over there on Patreon sent me up actually a few other open source backup alternatives as well, which look pretty promising. So we'll go into those. Let's go ahead and check in on our comments first. Let me pop out the chat so I can look at it here instead of here. If you guys see any specific comments you'd like to tackle yourself, go ahead and let me know. I'm just going to read to the bottom of the comments, and we'll talk about backup tips and tricks. Theotitus is on. Jeffrey is on. How's it going there?
Something I wanted to mention to Tom
Go ahead.
really quick, is I spoke with a voice over IP provider recently. I was using Sideline there for a while for like really cheap in order to bridge over to a better provider later on. And it's Sound Curve is what the name of it. But they told me due to new legislation that has passed recently that now the fees, government fees and taxes, and the things that are required by law in order to serve someone at home, it makes it not viable for them to do business with home-based businesses. So now they said that they can no longer serve home-based businesses. And I was pretty taken back by that because this company is excellent. And they had a very cost-effective plan that I really wanted because it would help me a lot. And sure enough, they could not serve me due to new legislation. So it just goes to show you where we're headed. It certainly seems to be an anti-business.
There does seem to be a bias against small business now, despite small business still employs over I think it's 80 or 88% of all employees are employed by small business.
It's a lot.
And if you think about it, I mean, I'm my own employer, obviously, and I actually pay a few different people every month for services. And
I do too.
Those are the things, and we need to have these services, and this is why free and open source is an option. So it wouldn't surprise me to find some way of doing that. It's phones.
I'm turning to free PBX.
Yeah, I just don't use my phone much for business, so it's just not something I've ever looked into. But I don't know. Maybe it's something we look at. Jeffrey
my
says,
clients are older, so I have to
I hear
talk
that.
a little more. Sometimes it's better to talk to them over the phone. If they're younger, then text messaging works better. But
Yeah. All right. So Jeffrey asks, simple, where are you storing your files? This is a very valid point to ask in a backup tips and tricks strategy, because if you need to store your files somewhere that are accessible, and this means that making sure that they're in a file format that's going to be readable. This is a discussion I've had with a friend of mine. I mean, I was going through when I was doing my digital minimalization. I went back through and I found some of my college files were on 3.5-inch floppy disks. I don't have a way to read 3.5-inch floppy disks right now. Although I think I actually do have a floppy disk drive. So if I can find a USB to IDE cable, which I'm pretty sure exists, I might be able to read those floppy disks. But then it raises this
Amazon.
question: is the
I
media,
have one.
Yeah, I know they exist. I just haven't, it's like
this is an IDE drive.
Pulling the files off my Physics 101 course is not exactly high priority.
Right.
Now, on the floppy drive, the floppy cable is completely different from the rest of them. That one's got a twist in it and everying else. It's kind of tricky.
And they're smaller and things, so I need to get one specifically for that. But yeah, it's that still we have to consider that. As I talked to a friend of mine, if you had all your backups on floppy drives or zip disks or things like that, and these things just go out of vogue, what do you do? And so it's something to think about, as the technology changes. So like I had a lot of my old backups on CDs. Well, CDs have a finite lifespan. And so as I started to get in and started to do stuff, then what I did is I started to pull in and taking those CDs and throwing them on over into other platforms and things like that. And so that way I have my backups and they are currently all accessible. And so that's really a good thing to consider.
Yeah.
I think Q&F jumped on. How's it going?
I would not rule out the effectiveness of a large format Seagate Iron Wolf hard drive with SSD cache. Yeah, I'm actually recommending an HDD with SSD cache in 2021, and here's the reason why. If it's data that you access a lot, really, they're fast enough to where it's not really going to bottleneck your system that much. If just for storage as kind of a precursor to a backup strategy, I would back up that drive as big. I can't even talk, as an image, like a disk image, and I would also go ahead and do like a file-based backup as well. That way, you're covered either way. If you need to pull something down off of the cloud that is in your file-based backup, it's a lot easier to just grab the file you need than to pull a whole image down and redo your entire operating system.
And the downside, of course, with an image is if any portion that gets corrupted, the whole thing's dead.
Yeah,
and so,
yeah, you've really got to keep.
Still, there's
with the images,
reasons,
you really have to watch them closely and make sure you take care of them.
Images. Worm Pie says Kitty has only one mask on. Yes, and I was going to add 2 or 3 more masks to Kitty. However, apparently I did not save the GIMP file where I was actually put the mask on the kitty, so I wasn't able to do it quickly. So maybe eventually the kitty will have more masks on.
Can you guys hear me now?
Hey, I got you now. How's it going there? We got your audio.
Hey, Tech, how are you, man? But I was just going to say, to finish up with that, I would recommend SSD for your operating system, absolutely, or an NVMe SSD. But for storage, a large drive like a 1 terabyte or 2 terabyte that's what I'm going to do. And especially if you're gaming or something, it's really convenient.
Yeah.
Your load times are not going to be as fast in games because you're pulling from that storage, that HDD, but they're going to be fast enough.
Yeah.
And unless you're really, really picky or really super impatient, you won't care. You won't care enough to even notice, really. So
another thing to consider as some of the discussion was going on is what format are they in. So if you're storing your backups in Lux on ext4, a Windows or a Mac is not going to be able to read that or open it or see it. Right. When in fact Windows wants to, there's something wrong here. Format it. No.
Yeah.
So FAT32 is good, except it does have size limitations. So you have to keep that in mind. Things like that. Q and Fiend, how's it going?
Pretty good. Pretty good.
All right. Yeah, I haven't seen you for a while. Been busy.
It's been busy. Yeah, life gets in the way sometimes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's happened to a lot of folks. Just sometimes life gets in the way. It just doesn't for me because I just built my life around this. So. Okay.
Yeah.
But we might look into other times.
That's me for the most part. That's me.
Yeah, we might look into other times to host it as well. Vince is on. Good day, everyone. How's it going there? Don't forget to actually check your backups. Make sure your data is actually backed up. Yes. So checking your backups. This is why my personal backup strategy, I copy files manually because it gives me the best check to make sure that they're there. And I actually had a little issue where I was doing all the digital minimal backup stuff, and then I actually have 3 redundant copies of all that. So everything gets backed up, and then I go in to actually need a file and go back to access one, and they weren't there. I went to my second backup. They weren't there. I'm like, oh, God, I lost something important. It was on that 3rd redundant backup, though. So I was able to restore all the other 2 from that 3rd redundant. So those are the things. So there are good automated tools. If you're using them, you want to check and verify. I can't tell you how many times somebody WordPress sites, I've installed the backup plugin. None of your backups actually do anything. You realize that, right? They can't be used. You don't want to get into that case.
Yeah.
So I guess let's go from here and talk about how we do our specific backup strategy. Q and Fiend, do you want to start up there with you?
Sure. I actually wrote my own backup Python script to do it myself.
Such a nerd.
It's really cute. I'm really pleased with it. It's written in Python, and you define a sources dictionary and a targets dictionary, and you associate sources with targets, and they can each have independent rsync arguments and pre and post run scripts so that it can do mounting and unmounting. So you can give it a command from the command line, just the arguments, run target external 3 terabyte. It'll go and pull all of the sources it was supposed to, mount them if they're not mounted, make sure they're mounted, then rsync them with the preset arguments, and then unmount everything when it's all done.
Excellent. Excellent work. That's how a real tech does it. That's why I need to learn scripting. Teach me.
Yeah, check if it's mounted first.
Well, that became a problem the first time I ran the script. I didn't have it. Something wasn't mounted. The first versions of this script didn't do mounting.
Yep, that'll teach you.
So you'll have /mount to an empty directory that doesn't exist because the target's not there, and it'll rsync an empty directory to a target, and your target will become an empty directory.
Ooh, ouch.
So. You do that exactly once, and then you learn to do it right. But
yeah, that'll teach you.
If you jumped on late, we want to talk about this because a friend of mine's like, I go over there and I promise we were all masked and socially distanced. But he's like, yeah, my Mac is down. It's a Mac, so it's like, no.
It's two of you, and you're not infected. Don't worry about it.
And so. We go over there, and it might have been more than two. I mean, I'm not saying anything more.
Oh.
Gestapo will come and get me.
Oh,
the
no,
chick
I
with
ain't
the
gonna
dick
say
pulling
nothing.
offline, man. So
I'm for liberty.
But he ran into an issue where he had to update his Mac to run a software package, but he didn't realize his hard drive was full, and so that crashed the update, and so his entire Mac has crashed. And a crashed Mac, you have a really hard time getting that data off. And so he finally, after I think it's on third or fourth day today, he finally texts me. He's like, I got it. I got the data back.
Thank God. And never lose it again.
Yeah, and it's a good thing to like, okay, you really like those photos. You really don't want to lose those photos. Have a good backup strategy.
Yep.
So Mark, we're on to you. Go ahead. Yep.
Yeah, go ahead, Q. You're fine.
Oh, no, I just had one last thing to add. And so locally, I have a NAS, a true NAS system. They used to call it free NAS, but I think everything's true NAS now. So on that system, it's running ZFS snapshots. All of my local backups, or all of my backup drives that aren't on the NAS, are single drive Btrfs volumes. So.
Nice.
And those can do snapshots themselves. So in some event that you have an rsync go sideways, you can always restore that back.
I've never had good luck with rsync, and I've done some of the online tutorials and stuff like that. And then when I'm done, I'm always shortchanged with a file that didn't get crossed over or something like that, or got missed.
I've never had that happen. That's very strange.
I've had some really, it's given me a really bad taste in my mouth to use rsync.
Well, that leads me into I could never really get rsync to operate for me either, Dan. Oddly enough, or I don't know what it was. I could either not get it installed right, or I don't know. They should have at least a script file that you can run to install it by now. For whatever reason, I just
my problem was
too much time on it, and I
was using other people's videos rather than really rolling up my sleeve and go to the rsync wiki, you know, and figure it out for myself. And that's probably why it didn't work out for me, and it works out for Q1.
Yeah. And that is perfect what you're saying. I don't really have a lot of time to dig too deep because I need the backups done and ready for when I'm doing work with my clients. So for me, I use SyncThing. SyncThing works pretty good for me as far as synchronizing between computers on the network. And then basically the rest of it is I just use that for synchronizing my LAN, basically, with my ThinkPad and the workstation. And the rest of it is I have a file-based backup of my storage partition that has all of my work stuff on it. And I have everything kind of organized, like hyper-organized, like somebody with autism or something. I have everything. It's either YB for Yates Fields, which is a side hustle, YN for Yates Networks, or YP for Yates Personal, or YC for Yates Creative. So I have everything in multiple folder hierarchies, and I just go and grab it.
I really don't have that much data that I can't afford to lose. I mean, it wouldn't hurt my feelings all that much if my entire picture folder disappeared, because it really drastically needs to be cleaned out. There's stuff in there that's 25 years old.
Yeah.
And I haven't looked at it in at least 15.
But you look back and you go, man, was I young back then.
Yeah. Boy, look at that beard I used to have.
With clients.
No comment.
With clients, I always back up the data before I do a format, and I don't charge for it. The reason being, if they wanted the data backed up, good deal. If not, they might see something on that flash drive or something that they actually want to keep after the fact. So instead of them saying, "Oh dang, I hope you didn't wipe that data already," well, yeah, I wiped it, but I got the data just in case, and I'm going to call you in a few days and say, "Are you sure you don't want your data before I delete it? Because I've got it," and I scan it against infections. So I have a customer file for everybody, and I don't keep it very long. I keep it about 7 days or so. If they don't want it, then I'll just delete it.
Yeah,
I used to keep it a lot longer.
My backup situation is Clonezilla. Once a month, I do a Clonezilla.
Yes.
That way, if my SSD takes a puke and my operating system on it don't work, all I have to do is switch the cables around, and I have something I can boot into and get going again. And in between there, I have another SSD in the machine. I got abundance of 1 terabyte SSDs and hard drives. So I have one in the machine that for day-to-day use, I manually copy and add stuff to it if I feel it's important. And that's my whole backup plan.
Yeah, very good.
I use Wasabi in conjunction with MSP360. That is pretty much the grunt of all mine. That's pretty much everything.
I mean, even with Clonezilla, if you want just one file, you can plug it in as a secondary drive and go pluck your file off of it.
Yeah, that's a good plan. Yeah, I still use I still use just manual transferring files. So with my strategy, I have one dedicated computer that's a master backup of anything that's important. So excluding work, anything like personal life important, that's one operating system. And then the important data gets cross-synced to 3 separate redundant drives. I store 2 of those here in different places, and I have fire safes for those. The third one is actually, I used to keep them in a bank safe deposit box, but now because of the COOF, I can't just go and get my stuff out easily. It took me a week to get stuff out of my box last time. I was like, no, this is not acceptable. So I ended up just buying another fire safe, and I keep the other fire safe at a friend's house, and I call it meth. Storing my meth collection at my friend's house.
Now
there is external terabyte hard drives.
There is something I'm about to bring up here. There is a difference between backing up your stuff and actually archiving it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I got some really old, like Windows software and stuff like that. That stuff is like zipped up and put away because it's archived. I most likely won't use it again.
Yeah.
I do that with old clients, past clients that I've worked with that I'm no longer working with or haven't worked with in a year or more. I'll just do an archive, and then I'll delete the other folder, and then I'll just have a folder for client archives of past client work.
Yeah. Troy says he just copies his home to an external hard drive every few months. And that's a good strategy. I have so many computers that, and I'm trying to decipher, how and what is the best way. That's why I just have one central computer where everything important goes, and I have one central work computer where everything work goes, and then those are the 2 priority backup systems. So that's kind of what I do.
I bought Acreness True Image, but I'm not using it yet because I need a.
Now I was sent these, which I had not seen either of these, but these are all pretty good options. Somebody on Patreon sent me these. So there's Copia, which looks as though it's a brand new tool. This is a cross-platform tool, Windows, Mac, Linux, and it will allow you to do good backups to a variety of cloud tools. So if you are using the evil Google or the evil Bezos cloud, you can upload to those. But you can actually upload it to any FTP server as well, and just a lot of other things. So again, I haven't used any of these, but this is one good way of doing that. Of course, there's always the Nextcloud option, which I didn't pull up. There's Deja Dupe, a simple tool for Node.
Oh, that's been around for a while.
Yeah,
Yep,
this
Deja
is
Dupe is
going to be
It was
OpenJC.
shipped with Ubuntu, I believe.
Yeah, very common backup tool. Now let's go ahead and talk about this briefly, because like Linux Mint, for example, it will have this backup tool, but it also has time shift. You need to understand the difference between those before you get too far into it. Time shift backs up just the operating system, not the personal files. Backup generally backs up the personal files and not the operating system. So if you're on something like Linux Mint, you do want to be utilizing both backup tools. And then there's
what I didn't even realize. I knew time shift existed.
Hold up. And then Sleepy Eyes Vince is looking to go to Borg. So we do have to talk about the Borg. There is actually Borg backup, which again, I've not seen these. So I just don't use tools like this, but this is yet another way that you can do deeply encrypted backups. I mean, they have Linux, Mac, FreeBSD, OpenBSD, just like everything. Even Linux subsystem for Windows, which is experimental but still there. And then there is Vorta, which is, my understanding, you can get this as a flat pack for Linux, or you can also get it for Mac to connect to a Borg system. So these are good things I might experiment with in the future to see how well they work. But those are some of the tools that were sent out my way. All right, go ahead, Mark.
No, you can carry on. I was just going to say time shift. I thought it was just system restore points.
Yeah, that's
it'll
basically
actually do the.
Yeah, time shift is just system store points. So basically, it makes a backup point of your system.
Yeah, but you'll still need to have an image backup in order.
If you're going to go through that, you might as well just use Clonezilla and get a direct drive copy.
Yeah.
I know that's why I never bother with it. In fact, if you want to update to like Linux Mint 20.1, it does require you to quote unquote run time shift. You can just actually I think it's touch. I think it's etc time shift. I think it's conf.json. If I remember correctly, and you can do that to bypass the check for a time shift, because I updated one of my systems, and as I updated it, it's like it would not let me update it without doing a time shift. It's like there is 0 point in time shift. I see 0 point. Yeah. Literally, I have a backup of my files. If the update crashes, I wipe the drive, I reinstall Linux Mint. Yeah. It takes less time to do that than it does messing with time shift.
Yeah,
If you set up your hard drive in a fashion where you actually make 3 partitions, you make your 512 megabyte bootable partition, make like 100 gigabyte partition for all the system files and software and everything, and the rest leave it to home.
Yeah. There you go.
And then if you need to change operating systems, or your operating system fruits out, you just stick your install thing in it, and it'll allow you to actually just install it in the boot and the system directory, and your home directory or partition is particularly safe. It hasn't been touched.
Keegan does say, as someone who's watched Star Trek, he's wary of anything named the Borg. I get you. So I understand that.
Yeah, it stands for assimilate your data.
Yes, data will be simulated. All right. Any other comments on backup tips and tricks? I think that was actually a fairly nice, concise-ish type show.
Yeah, I actually use time shift. I have found it to be rather useful.
Okay.
I actually had my upgrade from Mint. Whoa, geez. The 1804 base. What is it, 19? 19. Yeah.
Like the Ubuntu base? It's 18.
Yeah, no, the Mint release number.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think it's Mint 19. But I had the upgrade from 19 to 20 break somehow. And I was able to use time shift now to restore it back the way it was. Although I am using time shift, the time shift target is a second hard drive entirely.
Mm-hmm.
So theoretically, I could pop in a completely separate SSD, do a time shift restore, and have my system back the way it was. So it is sort of useful in that realm. I don't think I would run it if I only had the one drive. I think I would do what Dan had brought up, where you run your 3 partitions and take your odds that way.
Yeah, that's a better way to go.
So true. Yeah, that's why I don't run it yet. I've got to get another drive.
Yep. Yeah. But it's always a good thing to keep in mind. We're getting a lot of feedback on your mic, Q1 Fiend.
Now, if time shift only backs up your system drive or your system direct partition, that partition almost never goes beyond 80 gigabytes unless you're a total software hog. And that's all you'd really need is the extra 100 gigabytes for it to back it up.
Yeah.
Am I wrong, or is there any logic to that?
Okay, go ahead and say that again, Dan. I'm sorry, I was typing something in the chat.
From my experience, since I have all my stuff separately partitioned, you should never really exceed 100 gigabytes in your system partition unless you're a total hardware hog. I haven't even got to 50 gigabytes.
Yeah,
so time shift, you'd only need that much space to time shift something and store it.
Yeah, I think I was looking at my configurations yesterday, and I think I only have like maybe 30 gig maybe in my system partition of Linux Mint 18.
Okay. So you got it set up like I got mine set up.
Yeah, something like that. So that's I was just looking at what type of data needs examined before I wipe it all out. All right. Well, I think we got through our topic pretty good, so we can chat about anything else we want to chat about at this point. I think we've pretty much been going through the comments most of the way through, but let's see. There's, of course, some discussion about the Borg and being assimilated, things like that. Let's see. RescueZilla 2.0 for easier and friendlier than CloneZilla. Okay, I guess that's probably just CloneZilla UI, is my guess.
Yeah, CloneZilla is really clunky, and if you are going to use it, pay special attention to which drive is your source and which one is your target, because it will plow it under. It uses DD to do its dirty work.
Yeah.
Good old disk destroy.
Yeah.
Yeah, IF and OF, don't mix those up.
Oof.
If you're running DD manually, which is fine, just remember what you're doing.
Yeah, you know. Let's see. We do have another Bernie meme over there on Discord. Thank you, Not Gary, for that. And yeah, Not Gary's is in the district. Apparently there's a feud going on in San Francisco. Apparently the school district and the city are suing each other. I saw a notice about it, but I didn't get a chance to watch the video yet, but somebody put that up over there. Is it Salbu, I guess? Greetings, I just never knew how to say your name. All right. It says rsync script for your backup needs, and then the things you're backing up is rsynced to 2 other computers. There you go. Not Gary does not have a good backup solution. Everyone shame. See if we can shame you into a good backup strategy. Let's see. ECID on your iPad. Do you have any good open source solutions to find ECID? I don't. I'm not sure I know exactly what the ECID is. ECID, what's that on the iPad? Where's Tech Haberdasher when we need him? Apple person. All right. Manual backup of the main system to an external USB 3 drive. That's a good solution. That's what I told my friend to do. You need to go get yourself, spend $50 on an external USB drive and just plug it into the computer once a month and back up the new files to it. There you go. All right. We've hit the bottom of the comments and the bottom of our discussion. I don't even know what to do for this point. Should we end the show early or just chat? It's up to you guys.
Mark at the moon.
Mark at the moon? We can mark at the moon.
It's a good
Actually, I'm
hobby.
supposed to get a considerable amount of snow tonight.
Oh, really? Yeah, we got 12 inches,
Yeah,
and
you
it
guys got
was
hammered.
yeah, it was like this consistent. It started snowing Sunday morning, and it never stopped snowing until I think it was Wednesday morning. It finally stopped snowing. Now it wasn't bad. We actually the first storm that we got this year was back in December. That actually dumped 18 inches just over the course of like 8 hours or something.
I
Much
think
more snow.
total I've gotten 6 inches this year.
6. Yeah, we've actually gotten way more than we usually do. I mean, it's global warming after
It
all.
keeps skating below me and then going over to you.
Yeah. This one though actually came in from the coast instead, so it wasn't the usual storm from the west. This one came in from the east.
Oh, you got a coast fed one.
We got ourselves a nor'easter.
Yeah, we got 15, I think.
What's this snow we keep talking about? Yeah, you're closer to there, aren't you? Yeah, it's this yeah, it's like a white desert, but it's really cold. That's right. White
Cold
desert.
white desert.
Yeah, it is. Let's see. 0 snow in the Seattle area. All right. 10 inches there up in up there north of the border. I mean, you're not allowed to go outside to enjoy it, to my understanding. Are they actually going to allow you to leave your house at night, or is everybody still going to be perpetually locked down, I guess? Learned about an external USB drive, which she uses for backups. I overheard her saying that the benefit of the backup drive is she didn't need to have everything on the computer now that she had the backup drive. People, if the backup drive is the only place where much of your data is stored, you do not have a backup drive. Amen. That is a good thing to keep in mind. Got to keep a secondary drive around for that.
Yeah, a lot of people get them silly backup drives that hook up to your USB port, and they just keep packing stuff into them
Yep.
until they're bloated, and you couldn't find anything in them if you had to.
Hey, that's sort of what I do. I mean, I did actually delete some backups from back in 2009, I think. Those in Minneapolis will be suing PA. How dare you have all of our pummel yourself with our snow. I know, right? If you'd like the snow, you guys can come and haul it away. That's all right.
Well, and those external USB drives, they tend to be SMR drives, so as you fill them up, they're just going to get a lot slower.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Which
have
is
had
fine
some
if you don't need the throughput, but
yeah. And for me, it's like I don't need it to be fast. I just need it to be stable and reliable. So that's
yeah, I use the
and
easy
highly
stores. They're
redundant.
fine.
Yeah.
My computer has an insane amount of SSD connections in it. SATA drive connections.
First white Christmas in years, but they threw me in the hospital for the coop, so he couldn't enjoy it. I'm sorry, Keegan. Let's see. Some kids in the UK got in trouble with the police for having a snowball fight. Like, you don't have a snowball fight really close, okay? You're socially distanced if you're having a snowball fight. I'm sorry. At least every time I've had a snowball fight, you were.
In Jersey, that's probably considered a firearm.
It probably is.
Oh, wow.
Sister and her kids went to Tennessee to see snow as they've never seen snow beyond a couple inches. Yeah, we got a lot right here. Always maintain your files organized with folders, subfolders. Yeah, what I do is I have just keep everything dated so I can go back and just sort through it. So actually, if I were to actually look at my backup drive, it would probably be 1/10 of the size if I didn't have redundant copies of everything. But redundant copies is just fine. Desert versus dessert. I was thinking of snow cones. Snow cones. I had a little bit of I have some Reese's Pieces ice cream. It's really good. 240 gigabyte boost SSD and a 2 terabyte hard drive in the main system. All right, very good. Yeah, I do still have I have one SSD which is Linux Mint Plasma. But I wiped that Windows partition, and I am actually running Arch directly from the internal hard drive now. It's shocking. After 2 years, I did finally get rid of the Arch on the external hard drive.
Did it finally die because you failed to keep it up to date?
What, Windows?
No, the Arch.
Oh, no. It's the one I was running. There were some, like, first the drive was not encrypted, and I wanted to encrypt the drive. And the secondly is it was actually taking like 5 minutes to boot the thing up, probably because I'd originally installed it with GNOME and I installed with GNOME and Cinnamon and Deepin, and then I threw Plasma onto it, and then I took Plasma and Deepin off of it. It was just this giant mess of weird stuff. And then there was actually issues for some reason. Cinnamon would not drag and drop files quite as easily as it should have through Nemo. And so I was like, I don't know what was up with that. And I just refreshed it because I pretty much only ever boot into Cinnamon. So I just wiped it. I put Cinnamon, but I also put i3 on it. Sometime soon, I'm going to learn i3. And so I threw i3 on it. I haven't booted into it yet. I haven't even verified if it exists on the drive yet, but I'm pretty sure I clicked the button to install it.
I tried
Have you played
it.
with any of them?
No, none of the window managers. No, and I would like to. I have so many other priorities.
i3
right now,
takes an awful lot of memory capacity as far as your own memory.
Mm.
I mean, I have been running BSPWM on this laptop for a bit over 2 years now, and I love it.
And which one are you running?
BSPWM.
Okay. Yeah, it just looks so fun to run them. I just like eventually. Avoid the yellow snow cones. That is right. And we definitely need to avoid the yellow snow cones. If I had 2 terabyte hard drive, it would be cut into 100 partitions. Oh boy. Ever tried to use a 1 terabyte USB with an i3 processor? Kind of sucks. No, I haven't tried that. Although the processor I have in this computer that's running Arch is horrible. I think an i3 is probably better. I think it's an A8 8000. I think it's an AMD A8. Is it 8890 or something? I don't know.
Yeah, those are 2-core 4-thread bulldozer things, right?
I believe so.
Well, they're not. They're sort of 4-core, but they're not really.
Yeah, so let's see. Processor. Okay, it's an A8 5500 APU with Radeon HD graphics. X2. So I have 4 threads. Whether it's 4 cores, I doubt it. I'm pretty sure it's just 2 cores. With
AMD will call it 4 cores.
Yeah.
Because every 2 cores share a floating point unit on that generation.
I'm pretty sure that's what it is. So when I pull up HTOP, and it has like a rip-roaring 6 gigs of RAM. Of course, 1 gig is on the integrated drive. But, I mean, the computer generally works. It would crash when Firefox had too many tabs open when I was running on the external, but it hasn't crashed on me yet, although I haven't opened that many things lately. But it does run pretty good, so... Regolith to start with i3. All right.
Yeah, that's kind of last time. That's the one I tested. It's kind of it's Regolith and it's got i3, but it's kind of like its own i3. The key bindings.
I think I got off on a small little tangent there. I was talking about processors, and then, we were talking about the window manager i3, and then I got into the i3 processors. So that's how that happened. So for all you guys that are confused, I just reconnected in my head. So. I'm gonna write down Regolith though. I'll play around with that. See if I can grab that. We do have an update from Comcast. This will be in the news tomorrow, but apparently they have postponed their data caps. So I'm going to have to ban the downloads on my on more distros for a while. So all those things. So I'm not data capped yet. Not yet. I'm sure I will be, but not yet. All right. Threads are not cores, except AMD doesn't know the difference. Yeah. That's why this thing seems to have 4 cores and runs like crap. But hey, I paid $100 for the computer. New. I mean, I'm not going to complain that much.
Yeah, and it's mostly just the architecture they picked. It's
Yeah. Like I said, it's actually been a really good computer. Because my desktop had died when I moved back here to Pennsylvania. And I bought this one, I think I bought this one 1 year after I moved back. For, like I said, it was on sale for $100 new. And that would have been, must have been, I think it was like December 14, I think is when I bought it. So I've had this computer running for 6 years, and it actually runs really well on Arch, Run like crap on Windows, but, Windows just runs like crap, so.
Yeah, Windows is a turd.
Let's see. Glad you don't have Comcast. Yeah, well, I don't have a choice. However, there is another fun Comcast news. Apparently, because of regulatory complaints, they've actually doubled the speed of the lower internet package. So I might actually be able to call and get my bill back down under $100.
Well, that's a good thing.
I know. I'll have to look into it.
what bandwidth are they? Did they move it to?
I think they just doubled it up to, I think it's like up to 5 or 6. And I think right now I might have 10 up, if I remember. But of course, to do HD streaming, I need at least 5 or 6. And so that's why I pay for, I pay for the lowest one I can get and still be able to stream HD. Because the next package up was only like up of 3. I think they doubled it, so it's like up of 6 now. So I might be able to get that and give it a try. If it doesn't, I might just drop the streams to 720p, because I am now paying over $100 a month for internet. And by the way, only 3 years ago, less than 3 years ago, I was only paying $50. When's this going to stop? But there's no other choice. I have no option. So, would you like internet? You're going to pay what we want, because we have a oligarchical monopoly here, I know all you guys in foreign countries from here in the USA are like, what in the world? You have to pay $100 to get uploads of greater than 5? Like, yes, we actually do. That's why monopolies are supposed to be illegal. All right, well, I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this guy up. We will be streaming on the other channel tonight. Let me grab you guys a link. Continuing in on our discussion of Hebrews, looking at, I think, Hebrews chapter 6, verses 9 through 20. Go ahead and drop this in the comment thread here so you guys can jump on. That's going to be at 9 o'clock Eastern, so that is 1 hour and 10 minutes from now. Let me go ahead and give you guys your final words. Q1, final words.
Everybody needs to have a backup. In fact, everybody should have 2 or 3 backups, and you need to check them. And if possible, I mean, I try and automate mine. I have enough faith in the scripts I have written to do that properly. But you need to verify them somehow, store them somewhere safe. Fireproof safes, like Tom described, are a great idea, or a friend's house. But do not keep all of your backups at home.
Yep. And something we didn't go into, and we probably should have, I forgot about it, but I would not rely on backup services. What you could do is store everything as, like, you could take your backup and make an encrypted copy and put that encrypted copy in a drive, but I wouldn't store your actual files on somebody else's storage service that's explicitly made for backups, because you just don't know what they're doing with it. If it's encrypted, you feel a little bit better for it. All right, Mark, final words. You're muted, though. we'll go down to Dan. Final words, then we'll go back to Mark.
Yeah, you're fine.
Everybody,
I forgot I was muted.
Ever since I started using computers, I got obsessed with buying extra hard drives and storage too, because it is critical that you back up everything that you do, and you at least put your backup at one of them in a fireproof safe or someone else's house, or like Tech said, you want to keep it in a safe place. I keep additional hard drive in my machine so I can do immediate spot-to-spot backup or clone in case I lose a file or something. I can go fish it back out real fast. But I use CloneZilla, which it's kind of a dangerous piece of software to use if you're not used to it. You can easily just, instead of backup, you can actually do a reverse restore with it. Wipe out what you had this month and install what was on it from 3 months ago.
I really wish there were more software options for backup, like of images and file-based backup in Linux.
Yeah,
We have synchronization tools. We have.
I've tried some of them, and I like to see my file go from this drive to that drive.
Yeah, I agree.
And actually, when I do my CloneZilla backups, I take that drive out that I just took a backup from, and I put the CloneZilla one in it and start using that one. And that way I know that it's good.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's one of the things that I like about using ZFS and ButterFS. Are you can scrub the drives and verify the integrity of the drive at least. So if bad data got written to the drive, it was bad before it got there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I would just say, if you're using cloud backup services, if you can find something open source, that would be preferable, because you're always going to be a little more protected just by default running open source software. If it's proprietary, it's fine. Just make sure it's end-to-end encrypted. And the last thing I would say is, don't let World Backup Day be the day that you remember, oh, I forgot to back up. I've still not backed up. Probably need to back up. It's World Backup Day.
Yeah, you are going to have a digital apocalypse the day before that.
Yeah, don't wait until World Backup Day when the whole world's been told to back up, and you've got news stories that don't know what they're talking about backups. Have a proper
It's like Ben Shapiro trying to sell you a VPN. You don't want Facebook logging you around, so get on the VPN and log into Facebook. Hey, moron, they're tracking you around the internet still. Just thought, Ben.
I love Ben, I do, but he don't need to be.
I just, anybody who's a non-tech person trying to explain to me why you should use a VPN just makes me laugh. I don't know.
It is absurd. It's like they're so far from tech, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, just end-to-end encrypted backups. Use open source software. Really, wherever you can. If you can find something that'll work for you, even if it takes a bit of time to learn it, because that was another show we did last week or a couple weeks ago. The other thing is, just don't wait until World Backup Day. Have a strong backup strategy and disaster recovery strategy in place. Have a full-blown disaster recovery strategy.
That way, when the ransomware guys come in and they're like, "We're gonna come in and get you," you're like, I
actually have a disaster recovery story.
Yeah, go ahead.
You have to actually feel comfortable and trust your backup procedures too. You can't just blindly use any old script or program out there.
You need to know what you're doing.
Expect to get everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Q1 Fan, to go for your story.
A friend of mine is a photographer, and she ended up having a house fire.
Yep.
Oh.
And so her computer was in her house when everything caught fire. She had, no real backups to speak of. Her external hard drive she kept, for the purpose of backups, was sitting next to the computer, as somebody might keep it. Mm-hmm. And I actually got my paws on it to attempt to see what I could do about it a couple days later, and the thing was so caked in soot, it took me hours to just. Nothing inside was melted, nothing was really burned too bad, but it took me several hours to clean up all the hard drives with alcohol swabs, and I have the circuit board, the boards unmounted from them, and I cleaned everything up. And as a miracle, I threw them into a USB hard drive dock, and they all worked. But
wow. Ooh, that's luck.
That's luck. And I told her how lucky she was to losing absolutely everything. So, just true disasters do happen. We pray they don't, but
yeah, and they happen when you're not expecting it. You know, they come like the thief in the night. They're just like, "Yep, we're coming."
Mm-hmm. That's a really good way to say it.
Yeah,
very scriptural. That's
all
true.
right. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap this one up here. Tomorrow, weekly news roundup, 9 p.m. It'll be a blast. Saturday, I don't know if there's going to be a video or not. I am working on a really good tinfoil hat time, but it's not happening this weekend. It should be... I'm not going to promise next weekend either, because I'm going to try and make this really good. But we do have a good tinfoil hat time in the works. I'm collecting the resources, the ideas, the outlines, and it'll be fun, guys. It'll be fun. So,
well, if you're on a roll, make it a really good one, because those get more views and you get more money out of them.
Yeah, well, we'll see. So I might actually throw up a news thread on the Discord server, looking for the things that I'm looking for. So if you guys run across examples, what I'm probably going to do with that thread is I'm going to kind of keep it locked down until I need information. And then I will go ahead and tell people what I'm looking for, and you guys can post in the things that you find based on what I'm looking for. What I don't want it to turn into is just post a lot of neat looking stuff that would be good video, because I'm trying to get these really concise. I'm trying to collect a variety of resources on one individual topic. And so I'll probably create that thread on the Discord server, and I'm going to let you know what the thread is. We're going to lock it down. We're going to pull off all the resources, and then if I need ideas, I'll open up and be like, give me your ideas. But I want to try and keep that particular thread fairly organized, or maybe I'll do a tinfoil hat idea thread and a tinfoil hat this is what I'm looking for thread. So we'll figure it out. But I do have a really nice outline in place. It's going to be shockingly good.
Great.
And so it'll be a couple weeks out for that. But
all right, guys. Very much forward to that. That'll be really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for coming along, guys, and we will see you maybe tomorrow on the live news.
Right. I'll see you. I'll be over